Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Jill Stein spent this weekend visiting with those residents, listening to their stories, and she joins us now live. It's good to see you again, Dr. Stein. Thank you so much for joining us.
My honor. Good to talk with you, Natasha.
Share with us what you heard this weekend. What are the people of East Palestine telling you?
Well, first of all, what I heard was that they were so grateful to be heard. Joe Biden took over a year to get there and then met with pre-selected residents, three of them. He really didn't hear from the community whatsoever. And we held an open town hall meeting to which several dozen residents came out and got to tell their stories. And they were just so grateful to be able to speak out. And what we heard is that they are sick, they are ailing, their health has really been impaired. One man, in fact, has had bilateral mastectomies, breast cancer, an extremely unusual cancer. In the wake of this disaster, dioxin is known to be a carcinogen and to cause a number of just weird and unusual cancers. The health crisis there is not being studied; it's being suppressed. People are indeed being gaslit. They are about to be moved back in. Their support for escaping from this poison, which is in their water, in their soil, in their air. Many reporters, even who have gone there to cover the story, get sick just from being there. So this is a very active problem, and people are being told that there's no problem here. Move on, get back to your lives. So unfortunately, the Biden administration and the EPA are actually protecting the profits of Norfolk Southern and not the people and the environment, which has all been terribly endangered here.
So I want to ask you about the EPA. First of all, they initially tell residents that their testing had determined it was safe to return in East Palestine. When they did return, many of the residents immediately started reporting health issues. Do you think the EPA was lying, was being deceptive, or is its testing technology just inadequate?
I don't think we know, and we deserve to know. What is clear is that their testing they're not even testing. They are using an agency that's been hired by Norfolk Southern, an agency with a really lousy reputation that's been known to basically create cover for industries that have been implicated in disastrous environmental events. So the fact that EPA is not testing is very disturbing. There is an independent investigator here, Scott Smith, who is working with several other independent toxicologists and environmental specialists who have real data. And they have asked the EPA to please come out and test simultaneously with him so we can get a handle. We know that some of the testing being used by Norfolk Southern is inadequate. It's not sensitive. It doesn't have sensitive indicators. So it will produce false negatives.
Yeah.
There are just blaring questions here that very much need to be followed up on. And people need to be protected in the meantime.
Dr. Stein, on top of that, there's a whistleblower report a NewsNation recently highlighted that claimed that the EPA found elevated levels of dioxins in the environment there, but kept it secret from the public. Do you agree with that assertion of that whistleblower? And if so, what do you think the EPA's motive would be for not disclosing that sort of information?
Well, it is very disturbing. And some of that information was actually in public records, but it was buried. It was buried in mountains of data and not highlighted and not called out. So the way the EPA is formulating data, it's tailor-made to really protect the industry rather than the people who should be protected by the EPA. So I think the EPA needs to be called out here, whether they intended to do it or whether it was simply negligence. Either way, it's completely unacceptable. We need to start protecting people, not just the profits of the wealthy corporations, who, by the way, are lobbying. They are lobbying and contributing large campaign contributions to Democrats and Republicans, but above all, Democrats in Congress, and they've managed to prevent greater safety standards from being implicated. And remember, the workers, the railroad workers, were going on strike because they did not, their jobs have been so intensified, they do not have time. There are two.
Dr. Stein, we are out of time, but this is such an important question. I just want to make sure we get it in just about 20 seconds. If you were president, how would you approach rebuilding this community? What needs to be done?
Well, people should be protected. They need to be moved out until the area is cleaned up and shown to be safe. In the meantime, the workers need to be respected. They need to have time to do the inspections on their job. 2 people on a train that's 2 miles long is not adequate. They cannot be doing safety checks. So we have to start protecting the workers in the industry as well.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.